Welcome back to Around the Pen, Week 4. I'm your host, Satchel Page, joined by special guest host.
My name is Cam Woodard. I'm filling in for Jared this week. I'm a sport management major here at Alfred State College.
And we will also be going into recapping our athletic events as we usually do. And we will also be going outside the pen. Stay tuned for our special athletes of the week. We'll be opening with discussing about baseball.
All right, so the baseball team is now 3-3. They just completed a trip to Farron, Virginia this weekend. They went 1-2. They defeated Brockport 8-3 on Saturday, but fell to the Golden Eagles 12-8 the next day, and the host Ferrum 16-6. Colin Johnson and Samuel Dickerson both had big weekends at the plate. Johnson was 6 for 12 with 2 homers and 6 RBIs, and Dickerson was 5 for 10 with 4 RBIs. Connor Pingator was 5 for 13 on the weekend and collected his 100th career hit as well. Andrew Santabono picked up his second win of the season with 6 innings of work. He allowed 6 hits and 2 earned runs while striking out 3. A.J. Gartland was tough out of the pen as he earned a save and struck out 8 in 4.1 innings of relief.
While over this week we had basketball compete, men's ended up falling to LaRoche 80-67. We saw the men's basketball team complete their final road game of this season. They battled the Red Hawks into a tough game, where the Red Hawks held a 25-point lead, where our Pioneers battled back to cut the deficit down to 13. The Blue and Gold were led in this game by Ryan Gentile, who was the lone Pioneer in double figures, finishing with 18 points and 16 in the second half. Dante Jones added 9 points as well, with Brandon Gosley chipped in 8 points and 9 boards. While the men ended up closing out the season with a win over Franciscan, the Alfred State men's basketball team went on a 13-0 run to open the ball game. The Pioneers had a 30-14 lead at half, being able to shoot over 60% and passing out 10 assists. Franciscan was only able to score 7 for 25 from the floor and 0 for 12 from 3 due to the Pioneers' defense. Ryan Gentile led all scorers with 24 points. He connected on 4 long three-pointers on 6 attempts. We saw Josh Redding finish the game with 19 points, being 10 for 10 from the foul line, being able to dish out 5 assists and gain 5 rebounds. While Dante Jones and Andrew Allman both chipped in 7 rebounds, the Pioneers ended up wrapping up their first season in the AMCC, with being 7-18 overall and a 5-15 in conference play. While the women also competed this week in their final game of the season to close it out on the road, they battled LaRoche as well. They started off fast and never looked back while competing against LaRoche. The Pioneers ended up falling 93-56 with Shawless finishing with 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists on the day, while Jade Parsons had a career high of 13 points, 6 rebounds off the bench, while Jordan Pettit added 11 points and 8 rebounds. Our Alfred State women's team has finished the season with 7-18 overall and 5-14 mark, as well in the first season of the AMCC play.
Moving on to track, a quartet of Alfred State track and field athletes traveled to Nazareth Conference Tune-Up on Friday. Cameron Chambers was third in the 800 meters with a 159.17 to lead the group, and Ryan Buchel was 10th in the 400 meter with 52.43. A handful of athletes will now head to the AARTFC Indoor Championships at Nazareth in 2 weeks. Moving on to wrestling, the Alfred State wrestling team wrapped up the regular season at Muhlenberg Futures Tournament. Jacob DeWall registered the only Pioneer victory on the day in the heavyweight bracket.
While going on to swimming for our men's, the men's swimming and dive team finished second in the AMCC Championships standings for the third time in the past 4 years. Our Pioneers recorded 4 top 10 finishes in individual events on their final day of the 4-day event. We saw Matt Walker with the 4th in the 200 breast, Western Perry with the 5th in the 200 back, Nate Miller with 7th in the 100 free, and Anthony Kawadi was 9th in the 200 breast. While we saw Austin Eckrich had his personal best and was 13th in the 1650. In our final event of the competition for the men's, the 400 relay team, Perry, Miller, and Walker and Stuart Yates finished 4th overall and 2nd in the AMCC with a time of 3:13.80. The Pioneers ended up scoring 458 points in the AMCC standings and finished only behind Penn State Barron. While the women on the other side, the women's swimming and diving team made school history as the Pioneers won the first college Allegheny Mountain Collegiate Conference Championships. The results came down to the final event of the 4-day competition while the blue and gold edged out Penn State Barron by 5 points. Michaela Snaziak was 4th in 100 breast and 7th in the 100 free and 8th in the 100 fly. Peyton Armstrong finished 7th in the 100 back and 9th in the 200 backstroke, and both were top in the AMCC. Elena Kislik was 12th in the 1650 free, 12th in the 200 free, and 14th in the 500 free, while on the diving board, Leah Langerman was 3rd overall in both the 1 meter and 3 meter boards, where she was scored 274.25 on the 1 meter board and 274.90 on the 3 meter board. These were both top marks in AMCC and led Langerman to being named the AMCC Diver of the Meet. Sarah Stevens was 4th on the 1 meter and 4th on the 3 meter, while Rebecca Stevens was 5th on both on the 1 meter and the 3 meter. The Pioneers women also competed in the 200 medley and the 400 medley relay team were each 4th and 1st in the AMCC, while the 800 free relay team was 5th, the 400 free relay team was 7th, and the 200 free relay team was 8th. Head coach Mike Sheminsky was named the AMCC Coach of the Meet for both the men and women's.
Moving on to Athletes of the Week. Because of their phenomenal performance at the swim meet this week, the whole women's swim team will receive the honor, so congrats to you ladies.
While moving on, we will be going to Outside the Pen for this segment, and this is where we will discuss something happening outside of Alfred State Athletics and in the sports world. For this week, we will be discussing Wilder and Fury 2, where we have seen Tyson Fury won each round with devastating blows to Deontay Wilder. The best moment of the fight was going worldwide on social media where Wilder's blood was being licked by Fury going into the 5th round after comments circulated throughout the week of Fury wanting to taste blood during this fight. The biggest question mark going into the rest of this year and going into next year for boxing world, will there be a Wilder Fury 3 with Wilder having an automatic rematch? Will we see Wilder step up and take that fight soon or wait a little bit to take the initiative? While we also saw it broke the gate record since 1990, bringing in $16.88 million at the gate, and that was Wilder vs. Fury 2 this past weekend on Saturday night.
Moving into my segment of Outside the Pen, I'm going to talk about spring training because live baseball just returned over the weekend. The Astros and the Nationals rematched the World Series on day 1. Fans at the Astros game, at the spring training games, they were having signs confiscated and taken away by security as many fans are still very upset about the Astros cheating scandal. Fans have a lot to say. They're making some pretty bad signs about it. So that's not looking good for the Astros so far this season. Looks like they're going to have a tough time going anywhere, honestly. Even Jose Altuve, former MVP and honestly one of the best players in baseball, is getting booed at Astros games. So Garrett Cole, Yankees pitcher for the first time. He's making his first start Monday night, and I'm very excited to see how he does.
And that was Outside the Pen for Alfred State College. While we're moving on to our upcoming events coming up this week, we will see wrestling traveled to compete in the NCAA Mid-East Regionals at Ithaca College. This will wrap up the wrestling's begin a big competitive postseason for the wrestling team.
This weekend, the baseball team will travel to Allegheny College to face Ithaca and Allegheny themselves for an 11 a.m. start on Saturday and then 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. games on Sunday.
And make sure you stay tuned for Extra Innings. We will be interviewing swim coach for Alfred State College, Mike Sawinski, and our closing remarks this week will be making sure you guys follow up for us on alfredstateathletics.com, making sure you follow us on social media at Alfred State ASC Athletics on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And make sure you tune in each week on Monday for Out Around the Pen.